Well, I am here on this warm summer's night. I just got done watching Payback, the latest WWE pay-per-view offering, and I've got a ton of stuff to cover in this video. I planned on doing a video earlier in the week, but everything just kind of got in the way and prevented that from happening. Mostly stuff at work. I work in cybersecurity, and I had to run all these application scans this week, and that took up a lot of time and really wore me out, and I just wasn't up to making a video. I actually, after work, I was so, sick of looking at computer screens that I was like, I think I should just read, which I did a lot of. I finally got around to reading the Silmarillion. I'd never actually read it before, so that was interesting, kind of complete my experiences with Middle-earth. I'm currently reading Jurassic Park right now, which I have not read probably since the movie came out over 20 years ago, so it's really fun getting to reread that. And I got this little boy in the mail right here. The Art of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. If you are a fan of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, pick this book up, because I ordered it off Amazon under the assumption that the book was going to have nothing but the box art from the toy line, which is great because the box art on the toy line is beautiful, but it covers so much stuff that I didn't expect to be in there, from the cartoon series to the movie to the New Adventures, which I didn't watch, but there's a lot of stuff in there. So if you're a He-Man and the Masters of the Universe fan, I highly recommend picking that book up. I literally haven't really delved into it. I've only flipped through the pages, and I've seen some really cool things in there. The foreword was written by Alan Oppenheimer, who is the original voice of Skeletor, so I kind of marked out for that. But yeah, so I got a lot of reading done this week. Saw one movie. If you're not too busy going to see the Avengers for the 12th time, I highly recommend checking out Mad Max Fury Road. That movie was a lot of fun. If you like the old Mad Max movies, you will get a kick out of this for sure. The action's fantastic. The designs of all the vehicles and everything, and the costumes and everything, really unique compared to what you normally get out of today's films. The characters are great. Actually, the weird thing is, Mad Max is actually the most boring character in the movie. And it's not that he's bad, it's just that everybody else outshines him, I think. Charlize Theron is really, really cool in it, and the villain is hilariously just over the top, and especially in his design and everything. And like I said, the action is fantastic. Guitar Man, I don't know the name of this character, but when you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. Guitar Man is probably my favorite background character in a movie since the living statue from Hot Fuzz. I love Guitar Man, and I was happy with him. So there's that. But anyway, Mad Max was a lot of fun, and I think if you're looking for something that's, high octane, full of energy and stuff, I think you'll really get a kick out of it. So there's my movie recommendation. And actually, video I have planned for next week. My videos next week, I'm going to review NXT Unstoppable, and then after I do that, I will probably have a video up sometime next weekend where I talk about superhero / comic book related TV shows, because a lot of them are having their season finales now. There's a lot of superhero TV shows out there now, from Daredevil to Agent Carter to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to Gotham to Walking Dead, obviously, has run for a few seasons now. Arrow, The Flash, all sorts of comic book and superhero shows right now, and I think The Flash is having their season finale this week. Arrow just finished up, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just finished up, Gotham finished up a couple weeks ago, Daredevil's on Netflix, and I got done watching that a few weeks ago. So once Flash is done, I'm gonna, basically sum up my feelings on all those shows and talk about which ones are my favorite and give some recommendations in case you're not watching them. So that'll be a fun non-wrestling video that I'll have lined up for next week. But yeah, this is a wrestling channel, isn't it? I just got done watching a WWE pay-per-view, and I've spent almost no time talking about wrestling. So let's jump into the wrestling, shall we? The main topic of the last video I wanted to do, and I didn't get a chance to do it, so I'll just talk about it here. WWE announced this week that they're doing Elimination Chamber in 2 weeks. They're bringing that event back. And it really got me thinking about, just the sheer volume of content that the WWE offers for their main continuity. I mean, NXT, I don't really lump in with that, even though it is a WWE product. It exists in its own little universe, its own continuity. So really, NXT, it's just the 1 hour a week, and then every quarter you get the 2 hour specials. But with the main WWE continuity, you get 3-hour Raws, you get 2-hour SmackDowns, you get, I'm not even counting the 1-hour shows because they're just unimportant. And so I'm even like giving them some slack here. But you got 3-hour Raws, you got 2-hour SmackDowns, you got these network specials that they're doing, like King of the Ring and I guess Elimination Chamber. I don't know what the deal is there. But and then you get 3-hour pay-per-views, and it's all just... It just feels bloated, which, by the way, I feel like a moron for paying for the network at this point because they offer that thing for free so often. It's like, why do I even bother paying for this anymore? It's like, I should just cancel and then re-up it when they offer it again for free. It's like, there's not really much of a point in paying for it. But in any case, that's another discussion. But no, I might cancel my subscription to the network just because they offer it for free so warily often that there's really not much of a point in me paying for it at this point. But my point is that it's really impossible to get fully excited and fully invested in these shows when they happen so frequently. I mean, I feel like Extreme Rules just happened. 2 nights later, they gave us King of the Ring. And then we get this rush build up to Payback, and now 2 weeks later we're going to have Elimination Chamber. It's like, guys, you can slow down. It's fine. And again, I'm thinking about the kids today. I cannot imagine them getting super excited over a WWE show, unless they're going to it. But actually, like, sitting, like, okay, and I've talked about this story before. When I saw SummerSlam 91, that was my first WWE pay-per-view, I sat in front of the television all the time looking at the commercials and the previews for that pay-per-view because it just was like, oh my God, it was like waiting for Christmas. It was like, I was so excited. I can't imagine kids getting that excited over a wrestling show nowadays because it's like they get them so warily often that aren't you burned out? How many hours of your day does WWE need? How many hours out of your month does WWE need? I should say. It's just that there's just, you know, and I'm not even speaking towards the quality of these shows. I'm just saying, you know, I could drink from the Holy Grail once a week and it would get mundane after a while. Yes, I could drink from the cup of Jesus Christ, the cup that grants everlasting life, and after, you know, if I did it every day, it would be boring. You know, it would become mundane. And, I mean, that night from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, he must have gotten fucking just bored with it after doing it for so many centuries. But, yeah, I mean, you get all these shows stacked one on top of the other, and it's just like, it's too much to follow, and it's just oversaturation and just wears you out. And again, I'm not even speaking towards the quality of these shows. I'm just saying there's just way too many of them, and it's like WWE is just oversaturating themselves by doing this. Where, like, okay, look at Elimination Chamber. They're doing the Elimination Chamber for the Intercontinental title, and they're doing one for the tag titles. Which, okay, that's different. But you know, Intercontinental Championship, Daniel Bryan had to vacate the title, which was really sad, and he gave a nice heartfelt speech, which made for good television, but was also very, very sad. And of course, I wish Daniel Bryan all the best. And I hope this isn't the end of his career, but we'll just have to see how that goes. But like I said the same thing last year. It's like, dude, get yourself ready first. I mean, the neck isn't something to really mess around with, and he probably came back too soon. But yeah, just take care of yourself, and hopefully I see you back in the ring someday. But yeah, having one for the Intercontinental title, not a bad idea. Having one for the tag titles, that's unique and different. We haven't seen that before. So those matches aren't necessarily bad ideas. But the fact that we just had Payback, and we've got Money in the Bank coming up, which they spent a lot of tonight's show hyping that show up, it's like, oh my God, there's just way too much stuff going on. There's just, oh my God, and it feels like they're just so close together that it's hard to really get excited for them. It's like, I don't know, it's just the sheer volume of content that the WWE puts out there. And again, I'm not even talking about NXT or a lot of their network shows, which I don't watch. But I mean, do I really need to watch Jerry Springer in 2015? Who the fuck gives a shit about Jerry Springer nowadays? I mean, really? I mean, I didn't like him when he was hot. Like, I remember I was like 13, 14 when that show became popular, and I felt like I was the only person that was sitting there like, guys, is this what passes for intelligent human discourse now? Is this what we've decided as a society is like? I'm not like a, you know, moral high ground type of guy where it's like, oh, think of the children, they can't be exposed to this. I'm like, no, this shit is stupid. Can we please stop watching stupid things? I mean, this is like, where's the entertainment in this? But anyway, fuck Jerry Springer. I'm going off on too many tangents here. But yeah, there's just way too much content. If they wanted to hold off on Elimination Chamber, or maybe drop Payback or make Payback the Elimination Chamber show or something, I don't know. Like, I feel like these shows need to be spread out more, because I'm just getting overly bloated with WWE now. It'd be like if Marvel was doing and even Marvel, where it's like you could argue the NXT thing like I did, where each character kind of exists in their own continuity, in their own timeline. Like Daredevil and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I get two completely different experiences. Even though both shows inhabit the same universe, I get completely different experiences out of both shows. So there's not a whole lot of oversaturation for Marvel in that aspect, because every little product that they do is different. But I mean, if they did a movie once a month, it'd probably get a little tiresome at some point, But it's just, there's just way too much content, and it's one of the reasons I defended Lesnar being a part-time champion, because at the very least, not having the belt defended all the time, it made the title matches themselves feel special. The mistake they made was having him do nothing but work with Cena, and I'm like, dude, you only got him for 3 matches. You could come up with different pairings and make him more interesting than that. But in any case, holding back on things, it really helps build the anticipation. And it's one of the things that people talk about that led to the end of WCW. It's like, what are some of the mistakes that WCW made? They introduced Thunder. That gave them 2 hours of content that they didn't know what to do with. They extended Nitro to 3 hours. That gave them an extra hour of content they didn't know what to do with. There was just too much programming, and WCW kind of collapsed under the weight of it. And WWE is like, thank God they're not in the Monday Night Wars now, or else they'd be in trouble. But there's just too much content. I can't imagine watching all of it. I mean, for those of you that watch SmackDown, good on you. I mean, keep doing it if you wish, but it's like between the 3-hour Raws and the pay-per-views, I'm like, no. WWE gets enough of my time. I don't need to throw SmackDown into the mix. But yeah, it's just there's just too many of these shows, just way too many. And if you scale back on that, I feel like it helps build anticipation for things. And really, it's one of the reasons, and I'm going to preview Unstoppable in this video, but it's one of the reasons that NXT specials are so highly regarded. Like, okay, the people that watch both the main WWE show and the main WWE continuity or whatever, and will also watch NXT, the people that watch both, most of them, if not all of them, will tell you that NXT is the show that they're more excited about, and their specials are more they get more invested in the build-up to the specials than they do the build-up to the WWE pay-per-views, and they're more excited for the specials than they are the WWE pay-per-views. And we can talk about quality of talent or anything like that, but really what I think, one of the reasons that people like myself get more excited over the NXT specials is because we don't get them all the time. You get an hour-long show filled with mostly squash matches. You don't see the same guys every week. You don't see my favorite wrestlers wrestle every single week. And you get these 2-hour specials coming 4 times a year, and they actually do feel, for lack of a better word, they actually feel special. WWE pay-per-views don't feel special. That's because between the 3-hour Raws, 2-hour SmackDowns, and everything else, it just feels like, just more content to watch, basically, and it's almost like they're shooting themselves in the foot before the show even starts by doing that. And by scaling back and by holding back, I think it really makes it easier to get excited for them, because if you're constantly given the Holy Grail, it becomes tiresome, and you get your fill, and then you probably get bored and move on, unless you're a wrestling addict like some of us, like myself. But but yeah, I just wanted to make that point here, because it's just the amount of shows that they do are just insane. And actually, to break it down even more, look at the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens feud for Unstoppable, and then look at the John Cena Rusev feud that's been going on for most of this year. John Cena and Rusev started in January, right after the Royal Rumble. So let's say late January, early February was when that feud really started. They've had 4 pay-per-view matches, and we're now into May. And I can truthfully say I got sick of that feud before WrestleMania even took place. Before, it's like, okay, I'm just done with this. It's like, all right, rah America, I hate America, blah blah blah. Rusev beats up Cena, loses at the pay-per-view. Okay, blah blah blah. I get it. rinse, wash, and repeat or whatever. It was boring. It was stale. I hated it, and it just and when I talk about Payback, I'll have plenty to say about that match, but it just beat me down. It was just boring after a while. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens has been going on for even longer. That started in December of last year. We're coming up on May. They're going to be in the main event of the Takeover special, and I am super excited for that match. Why is that? Because this is only their second match. The story has actually been allowed to breathe, and they've spaced out the match as well. So the match actually feels fresh. It feels exciting. It's something that's worth investing in, and they haven't just beat me over the fucking head with every little piece of the story, and they haven't repeated themselves and beat it into my fucking skull and just driven me insane with it. And my two feelings are either rage from just the repetitiveness of it, or just boredom from just seeing the same thing over and over again. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens is actually allowed to be a developing story with character development and all sorts of other things. And like I said, they've spaced the matches out fairly well. And I'm not sick of the feud. Whereas Cena and Rusev, I got sick of it after the first match, basically. And a lot of that has to do with, NXT's got less content to fill, only an hour a week. Only 2-hour specials 4 times a year. So it's easier for them to do that. WWE, when you have 3-hour Raws, 2-hour SmackDowns, and then 3-hour pay-per-views to build to, I guess, twice a month now, it just gets old. It gets old and tiresome, and feuds burn out a lot quicker because of that. Even if the matches are good initially, eventually I get sick of it because I've already seen it like 18 fucking times. And I'm not even accounting for like tag matches and shit that you see on Raw, like non-title matches, which that's used to build up a lot of feuds. And the fact that this is another thing that I've noticed. Have you noticed that when two guys feud, they have to share the same segment with each other on every single show? Like, they can never be apart, and that overexposes the feud too, because it's like you see a lot of the same things over and over and over again. Because how many times can I have the same two characters interact in a combative relationship and come up with different things to do every week? It's almost impossible. So this whole, if you're feuding with somebody, you have to share every second of your TV time with that same person. I mean, that burns out a lot of the feuds too. But and that's really the main difference between WWE's NXT and WWE's main show, is that NXT, they're allowed to actually have nice building stories for a lengthy period of time. In the Takeover specials, I don't get them all the time, so they actually do feel special, and that's a major difference. And when I say that I wish WWE's main show was more like their developmental show, those are the type of things I'm talking about. And with all of that said, I think it's time for me to actually review WWE Payback, the show that happened earlier tonight. Oh, God, what do I say? I'm not sure how to open up with this, but... all right, let me just go break this down match by match. That's probably the best way to do this without giving my overall impressions of the show. Sheamus versus Dolph Ziggler was the opener. Solid match. It's pretty much what you would expect out of those two. I mean, those two could probably put together a solid match. Again, it feels like it's kind of and this is where doing too many pay-per-views is kind of hurting them. It felt like I kind of got the same match I did last month, only without the stipulation. So this feels like a step down. But the match itself wasn't bad. The action was about as solid as you would expect out of those two and everything. And like I said, they typically work well together. So it was a solid match, good opener. I was completely fine with it. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro versus The New Day. My pick for match of the night for the second pay-per-view in a row, actually. I really like their match at Extreme Rules, too. Some of the best tag matches WWE has done since, probably since The Shield was main eventing Raw every week. Just really good tag matches. And again, The New Day works so much better as heels, because really they didn't change anything. Because the gimmick early on, the reason people hated it is because it felt forced and it felt insincere. Make them heels, and the gimmick works the way it's supposed to. And they work so much better. And they were so funny in the backstage segment where they found out they were going to be in the Elimination Chamber. And it's like, what, we're all supposed to be in the pod at the same time? And Big E's like, yeah, we're too big. I don't know why, that just cracked me up. And they went from being like the worst act on the show to being one of my favorite acts on the show. It's amazing what a heel turn can do to fix that. And the matches they've been having with Kid and Cesaro, even though I'm sure it's going to burn out at some point because they just do them too often, but like everything, but the matches they've had are really, really good. And this 2 out of 3 falls match I thought was very, very good, especially, some of my more recent videos, I talked about how tag team psychology is dead and everything. This match, they did a lot of things that worked within the rules of tag team wrestling, and I really, really liked it, and it made the match even better. They did that bit where Cesaro had gotten attacked and knocked off the apron, so Tyson, he beats off the double team and beats off, immature, but he fights off the double team and goes to the corner to go make the hot tag, but Cesaro's not there. Oh well. And they actually adhered to that, the whole what tag matches are supposed to adhere to, where guys can't just jump into the ring and start a battle royal or whatever, and tagging in and out actually matters, and they would tag each other in and out to do double team moves and stuff like that. Things that made sense and worked within the rules. And it was an exciting action-packed match anyway, so living proof that you don't have to be like the Young Bucks who just fuck tagging. We don't need that shit. You don't have to do that to have an exciting action-packed match. And I really like Kid and Cesaro as a team. I really like Natalya. She just, is it just me or is she getting hotter? Like, she just looks better and better every time I see her. I'm like, purple is one of your colors. Pink is also your color. Black is your color. Everything is your color, honey. You look beautiful. Just saying. But, so that's my weird pervy moment for the night. But anyway, I thought this match was excellent and probably my favorite match on the show. I really enjoyed it. And, it's good to get tag team matches like this every once in a while. So, I really enjoyed it. New Day picked up the wins. I'm actually happy that they won because they're the heels and they can get some mileage out of this reign, I think. The ending was clever, I thought, with Xavier Woods jumping in and stealing the pin when he's not even a legal participant in the match and the referee just not catching it. I thought it was very clever, except I can see people killing on the race thing where it's like, oh, sure, the referee just assumes that all black people look the same. So I can see people saying that because I actually made that joke when the finish took place. I'm like, oh, so the referee's racist. Okay, just assume. Yeah, New Day's using racism to their advantage. But anyway, to be fair though, it was a roll up, and Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston do dress the same, and Xavier Woods' face was hidden on the roll up, so it's like, okay, he's not that bad. But anyway, you could probably make a joke or two. But anyway, no, I thought the match was incredible. I thought it was great, and credit definitely goes to Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods and Big E Langston for being able to finally make this gimmick work, and credit to WWE Creative for actually listening to the fans. It's like, no, they suck. So let's run with that, and guess what? It made them one of the better acts on the show. So, loved this match, loved everything about it. It was great. Then we got Ryback versus Bray Wyatt, and these two guys went out there and they were acting like they had something to prove, because Bray Wyatt has unfortunately been in just bad program after bad program after bad program to where it really hurting him. I mean, the feud with Undertaker didn't do him any favors because he just got served up to Undertaker on a lunch meat on a hot plate, and they had that horrible match at WrestleMania. I don't care what anybody says. That match fucking blew. That was awful match, and poor Bray Wyatt had to suffer through that. But the matches with Dean Ambrose, they just had the same match 87 times, so nobody cared. The matches with Jericho, where they just split 50-50 and nobody really seemed to care. The matches with Cena, where he got jobbed out and looked like a bitch the entire time. So Bray Wyatt has not had many good programs, and the Ryback feud looked like it was going to go along those same lines. All right, he's just randomly attacking some guy for no rhyme or reason, and woo, I'm spooky or whatever, and it doesn't matter whether I win or lose because I'm just going to keep doing the same exact thing over and over again. And then you have Ryback, who I feel like I have not seen him have a good match in a long time. He mostly just does squash matches, but it feels like whenever they give him the opportunity to have like a real match, it's not very good. So both these guys went out there, and I felt like they was like, no, we've got something to prove. We need to fix our careers or whatever. They went out there and actually had a good match. I was actually surprised. I was fully prepared to just kind of fall asleep during this match, and it was like, no, it was pretty. It was solid. Not fantastic, but it was a pretty solid match. And I guess it helped that my expectations were low, but. They actually worked in some nice creative little sequences here. It wasn't just a cookie cutter, cut and paste Ryback match that you would expect to see. It wasn't a cookie cutter Bray Wyatt match. He actually, I could be wrong, but I don't think he did the spider walk thing, which is great because, again, if you do it all the time, it's not as cool. So it's okay to hold off and not do things every single show. So that way when you do them, it's actually special. So, and that was something, the first time he did the spider walk, it was awesome. When he started doing it all the time, it became less cool. So you need to, you need to hold back on things like that. But no, I thought this match was surprisingly good. It was kind of the sleeper hit of the show. I'd go that far with it. So far, Payback, 3 matches, all good. Tag match was great, loved it. Ryback and Wyatt, better than I expected. So I'm thinking, okay, we're doing pretty well here. Payback, the build-up was kind of weak sauce, and it's hard to get excited for this show because we just had Extreme Rules and King of the Ring and all that other stuff on top of the 3-hour Raw. So it's like it's hard to get truly excited, but maybe the show's going to turn out okay. And then we got John Cena and Rusev in the I Quit match, which I'm trying to find the words. I was fully prepared to hate this match. I was fully prepared to just be like, all right, let's just struggle through this. It'll be over. And then this feud I hope to God, will finally be over. I was like, all right, last match, it's over. We made it. We're almost done. Let's just take this shit home. And it's really kind of poetic that it was an I Quit match as the gimmick. That was for their final match, which I swear to God, better be their final match. Because this match beat me into submission. Oh my God, did I hate this match. You have no idea how just... oh my God, you would not have... It's one of those moments I wish there was a camera on me. I might start doing that, actually, live reactions to WWE pay-per-views, because the camera on me during that match, you would have seen just my life just collapsing right in front of me, right in front of your eyes, because the match was boring. It was, and a lot of that, it's a combination of just oversaturation of the feud. We've already seen 3 pay-per-view matches with these guys. I didn't care anymore. The predictability, we all knew Cena was going to win. The fact that their matches, the first 2 weren't bad, but they weren't exactly lighting the world on fire either. So by the time you get to the 4th match, I'm like, why is this going? So I had all of that, and then the match plays out, and it is just the slowest, most plodding, most, do a spot, ask if he quits, do a spot, ask if he quits, do a spot, ask if he quits. And John Cena's not going to quit, so who cares? It was just mind-numbing. It was just mind-numbing, the whole thing. And it just dragged on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it just kept going, and it just wouldn't end. And I was just like, I can't. And the brawl they had up by the stage and into the crowd and stuff was so awkward and at half speed, and that Alabama slam through the table. That spot did not look very good, and the fighting was a little awkward. And then they did the bit where Cena AA'd him through that bit of the stage where the pyro went off, and that never looks good when they do that. It almost never. It looked good actually in another I Quit match when Mankind and Rock did it, and it looked like Foley landed on the soundboard and it sparked up, because that actually looked like electrical equipment going haywire. This just looked like pyro, and it just didn't look natural. It looked cartoony, and it just didn't look right. It never looks right whenever they do that, and it looks like Crazy Harry came off the Muppet Show and decided to, do a run-in and save Cena or something. I don't know. But, for America, the whole rah-rah America thing, oh my God. And again, I love my country. I really do. But for all the bad shit that goes on in this country, I do appreciate the life I've had there. And I love my country, but God damn it, this feud is just annoying. But anyway, we're talking about this match here. And it just went on forever. And I was so bored. And again, a lot of that is just, can we just get Cena to win? Like, okay, we know it's coming. Don't lie to me. Just don't prolong the inevitable. Let's just take the shit home and go home. Okay? Let's just end this fucker. And, I was just bored the entire time. And especially it got to a point where even when Rusev when we were getting towards the end of the match, he took the turnbuckle off and was gonna, I think he was going to hit Cena with it or something or whatever, and I was like, Cena's going to hit him into the STF, and he's going to choke him out with the rope, and that's how he's going to win. And I'll be damned if it didn't happen exactly how I said it would. It was just like, oh my God, it's like, it was just mind-numbing. It was just mind-numbing, and of course, you get the ending where Lana quits for Rusev, so you even get cheated out of a real ending, unless he was yelling, I quit in Bulgarian, which, who the fuck knows? I don't know anymore. I don't care. I don't even care. I'm just happy it's over. And this match, it felt like it went on forever, and if you saw my review of Extreme Rules, and I said that Roman and Big Show was a boring match up until the last 3 minutes, or whatever, I apologize to that match. I think the comment I said was that it was a long walk for a short glass of water. I sincerely apologize to Big Show and Roman Reigns for those comments, because that match was a walk in the park and delightful compared to this experience, because it was just Cena wins, LOL, and that's the end of that. So this match almost killed me. Thank God it's over. It sucked the life out of the show for me, because after that match, that match had such a negative impact on me that, like, a few of the matches that came after this, I was just like, I was like shell-shocked. It was like, had PTSD, like immediate effects of PTSD right after the event happened. It was just, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just happy the feud is. It better be over. It better be fucking over. That's all I have to say. But this match was just boring, and it was just. Thank God it's over. But yeah, that match almost ruined me. And it really kind of sucked the life out of the show for me, unfortunately. But one thing I will say, and I do want to throw some positivity towards something that's going on Raw. The John Cena U.S. Open Challenge is probably the best thing that's going on Raw right now. And really, the reason it works is because it plays against all of the things that I hate about John Cena. You're getting fresh matches, and probably not by design, but this is how I'm reacting to it, and this is how I'm taking it, so whatever, it works for me. John Cena has been set up as the heel here, because he's the guy that wins all the time. It's like Apollo Creed. He's the guy that wins all the time, and he's viewed as unbeatable. So he's not the underdog. They're not painting him as the underdog. They're painting him as the unbeatable champion, and that's why it fucking works. And Cena is so much more interesting that way when he's the heel, and you have somebody that I want to see beat him. So in guys like Neville, and the match he had with Neville was very good, and Neville looked good in defeat. Well, he didn't lose. He didn't even lose. It was a DQ finish. So he looked great in that match. They've done a really good job with Neville so far. The Sami Zayn match, obviously. Like, their only real stinker was the Kane match, but even then, it's like, it's part of the ongoing story, because eventually you'd think Cena's going to lose and it's going to be a big deal, and I'm going to root for everybody that goes up against him because I want Cena to lose. It's a very nice dynamic they have there. And again, it's like they've basically made John Cena the heel without that being the intention, but it makes the story work, and it works for me. And it's taking advantage of the fact that Cena is viewed as unbeatable. So him winning these matches actually enhances the storyline. And if we get to a point where somebody I like ultimately beats him for the U.S. title, then this whole experience will totally be worth it. So I do really like the U.S. title open. Now that the Rusev feud is done, we can just focus on that and just keep that going for as long as we can. And it's the most interesting John Cena's possibly ever been. quite honestly. But yeah, I do really enjoy the John Cena US Challenge. It's the most exciting thing they do on Raw. Although I will say, small criticism, kicking out of the AA every week is going to get old, and it's not going to mean as much. So they need to tailor that a little bit. I think it's happened the last 2 or 3, and it's like, all right, we're going to get to a point where kicking out of the AA doesn't mean anything. But in any case, I am really enjoying that. Not enjoying the Rusev feud. I'm glad that that's over and done with. And it's just what are you gonna do? But anyway, the I Quit match almost murdered me. And then we get into the Divas tag match. I was too shell-shocked to even give a shit. Then you get to Adrian Neville and Wade Barrett, which I'm like, okay, thank God, maybe a good match will kind of wipe the palate clean and get me back into it. And the match was kind of not bad, but it was kind of dull. And unfortunately, they did the finish where Wade Barrett got himself he intentionally got himself counted out. My problem with this, and I see it all the time whenever they do countouts and DQs or whatever, that only works if you're getting yourself intentionally disqualified or counted out. It only works if you're saving a title. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. Because think of it this way. A loss is still a loss. It doesn't matter if it's pinfall, submission, countout, or DQ. If there's no title on the line, a loss is still a loss. So really, by intentionally getting himself DQ'd, congratulations, Wade Barrett. You're an idiot. You just cost yourself the winner's cut of the pay and presumably moved yourself down the rankings, assuming this shit is supposed to make sense. But, if wins and losses really matter, getting yourself intentionally counted out, you just fucked yourself over. Because unless you're a champion that's being a dick and using the rules to your advantage and just trying to save your title, you just cost yourself. You just let Adrian Neville move up the rankings. You moved yourself down the rankings. And you cost yourself the winner's cut of the pay. And again, that's assuming that this shit is supposed to make sense. But, they tried to play it up like Wade had just gotten one over on Neville or something. I'm like, no, he didn't. He just fucked himself over. He's an idiot. And, you see it all the time. Like, when J&J Security run in and cause a DQ to save Seth Rollins in a tag match, you're not really doing anything. You just cost your boss his match. He may have kicked out. We don't know. He might have lost anyway. We'll never know. But Seth Rollins lost that match because of you, and you didn't save his title or anything, so really you just cost your boss a match, and he should be pissed at you, and you fucked him over. But, DQ finishes are treated like they don't matter anyway, which is why so often they don't even announce who won whenever there's a run-in. They just kind of just throw the match out or whatever, and the outcome doesn't mean anything. But, that's just one of those things that really doesn't make any sense to me, and, the heel getting himself intentionally counted out, intentionally disqualified, it should be reserved for shitbag weasel champions that are trying to save their title. It worked for Honky Tonk Man. It worked for Ric Flair. It doesn't work for Wade Barrett in a non-title situation where he's presumably trying to rack up wins to get back into the title hunt. Especially after coming off the King of the Ring, because you would have thought that winning 3 matches in less than 24 hours would have moved him up the rankings significantly. But again, I'm assuming that this shit actually makes sense to the writers at WWE Creative, and they probably don't even take this stuff into consideration, so why am I even talking about it? But in any case, that match is probably the weakest match that Neville's had so far in the company, and it just kind of felt like it was there to fill time. Again, not bad, it just felt like it was there to fill time. Then we get the main event, which was a really fun 7-way match, wasn't it? Because I think Kane did more in that match than Randy Orton did, the way it actually played out. But in any case, the match was bonkers. It was wild. It was all over the place. It was fun. The big highlight was the tease at the Shield reunion, because it was one of those moments where the entire crowd just instantly got it and just marked out collectively, and it was actually like a really fun moment, and there was actually some drama there where I was like, oh my god, is the Shield back together? Are they not back together? What's the deal here? And then Roman and Dean turned on Seth and did that whole thing, but it was like there was like legitimate tense drama there for a minute. I was like, oh god, really? And I did like, to be fair, I did like that Kane interfered earlier in the match, because there are times where they'll save the big reveal of whose side Kane is on or whatever, or, you know, those type of stories in wrestling. They'll save it for the end of the match. I'm like, wouldn't it have made more sense to do that like 20 minutes ago? I don't know. I mean, why wait? I mean, seriously, why wait? It's a no disqualification match. Just go out there and make it happen, you know? But J&J Security, they are hilariously ineffective. Like, to the point that it's like, okay, why does Seth even have them around? They don't even give him, like, an advantage anymore. They just kind of, like, they are the reincarnation of Russo and Bischoff Security, R&B Security. Or, you know, R&B could also stand for run and bump, because that's all they did. They ran in, bumped, and that was it. They were so ineffective. And it's like, why does Seth even have them around? I mean, they don't help him gain an advantage at this point. They always get their asses kicked. It's like, God, you know, I called them Bebop and Rocksteady, but that might be unfair to Bebop and Rocksteady. I mean, Jesus, they're just... They are so hilariously ineffective that it's like, what's the point of even having them? They're like a joke at this point. It's like Sean Stasiak's gimmick from 2001 where he would just run into walls. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what they are at this point. So, anyway, but yeah... the match was a lot of fun. It was a nice main event to go out on, and it was the Shield thing really helped make it memorable. So overall, I did enjoy the main event. It was a nice ending to the show. Seth won to the surprise of no one. I felt like Seth needed to win this match anyway. But overall, Payback, not a bad show. Started off really well. The I Quit match in the middle almost killed me. And then it bounced back with a pretty solid main event. So overall, Payback, not a terrible show. I enjoyed it overall. I wish I could forget that the I Quit match ever happened, but I can't. It's just one of those things we'll just have to live with. But and you know, you take the good, you take the bad. You take the good, take the bad, you take them both, and there you have Payback. That's pretty much the best way to sum up that show. Now that I've got Payback out of the way, I did want to provide a preview for NXT's Unstoppable, their next Takeover special happening Wednesday night. The next video I do will be a review of Unstoppable, so it seems appropriate that I should at least preview and give my thoughts on the card. Because there is a lot to talk about with this card, mainly because of the big headlines that have come up with certain injuries that have happened that will affect the event itself. But running down the card, overall it's a solid card. Some big matches on there, some interesting. I expect this to be yet another good Takeover special. Probably won't be their best one. I mean, our Evolution, I mean, we're all in agreement that one's the measuring stick at this point. But running over the card, we have a Divas tag match, Bayley and Charlotte versus Dana Brooke and Emma. I do like that the Divas are getting 2 matches on this show. I feel like they've been delivering so consistently, both in the Takeover specials themselves and just being on TV week to week. It's like, the girls are like arguably the best part of the show most of the time. So yeah, give them 2 matches and let them show off the depth of the division. And that could be a solid match. I'm not really feeling the Emma-Bayley feud because Bayley's already beaten her twice, so it's like Emma's a really ineffective heel, so it's kind of like, who really cares? But it could be a springboard into a Charlotte-Dana Brooke feud, and I don't really have an opinion of Dana Brooke yet, but I do recognize that she's a physical specimen, and that might make a nice match for Charlotte, and that could actually be a good feud that they could do for a future one. So I'm glad that they didn't just shoehorn a one-on-one match yet, because I feel like there's room to build that story and build that feud. I think if Dana Brooke's worth anything, I think that would be a good rivalry to do, and hopefully it would turn out well. But Dana Brooke is obviously somebody's pet project. I don't know if it's Triple H or what, but they obviously want her to get over. So if she can cut the mustard, putting her up against Charlotte is that's a pretty big stage by NXT standards. So. Here's hoping that all goes well. But I think this could be a good match. I'm going to pick the faces to win because, A, I'd like Bayley to get a win at one of these Takeover specials, and B, I could see Dana Brooke like turning on Emma and just walking out on her and just being a bitch and leaving Emma to the wolves almost. But, so that's that match. Then we got Rhino versus Baron Corbin, the battle of the 2 guys that squash everybody every week. Again, this is where NXT is really helped by the fact that they're only an hour a week and they don't blow their load so frequently. Baron Corbin is green as fuck, but nobody seems to really care all that much because he goes out there every week and fucking kills people, so he actually does legitimately feel like a monster. And then you have Rhino, who I think has been really good since he's been in NXT. I really like Rhino. He always brings energy. Whenever he comes to a new show or a new promotion, he always brings this nice level of energy to himself, and really makes the show more fun to watch. And yeah, so I really like him. And hopefully he can get something good out of Corbin, because the problem, again, and this is where the Bull Dempsey feud kind of fell flat. It's like, all right, good setup, two guys that squash everybody. You get to the match, and I felt like the Bull Dempsey match has kind of exposed Baron Corbin a little bit. So hopefully Rhino's able to work with him and get something solid out of him. Because, again, the principle is there. The principle is really good. You have this unbeatable guy going up against the man-beast Rhino, who gores everybody. He's really only lost the one match to Sami Zayn, and who's one of the top guys on the brand, so it really didn't hurt him all that much. But Rhino is still pretty high up there in terms of like killing people and just being a monster. So it's a really good setup, good ideas. It's just a matter of whether or not Rhino can get anything good out of Baron Corbin, and whether or not Baron Corbin's improved enough to where he could have a solid match with Rhino. We shall see. Baron Corbin's going to win. I mean, we all know this, but hopefully it's a pretty solid power match in the execution of getting to that win. So, yeah. Then we have the NXT Tag Team Championship match. Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy versus Enzo Amore and Big Cass. I love Enzo and Cass. I think they're great. They're kind of like, they're what the New Age Outlaws should be, or like what, not what they should be. They're what people, the people that enjoy the New Age Outlaws, Enzo and Cass to me are what are like the best version of what the New Age Outlaws should be, or whatever. I'm not even sure how to phrase it, but it's like what people think the New Age Outlaws are, that's what I think Enzo and Cass are. It's like they're entertaining, their personalities are really shine through. They're more than just their entrance, and they do have an entrance that's kind of like, it's all about catchphrases and everything, but they change it up in the middle. The stuff they do backstage is always funny. They've got hilarious personalities. They're always make really good jokes. I mean, Big Cass got Blue Pants over just with his really goofy introduction. And now the NXT audience loves Blue Pants just because of Big Cass and the funny way he introduced her. So they're always doing things to change up the act, always doing things to kind of stay funny and fresh. And I really love the chemistry that they have. I like Carmella in the group, and she's obviously being set up for a heel turn, possibly in this match. But I think she works well with the group too. I mean, the training vignettes they did with her last year, I thought were some of the funniest things I'd seen in a while in wrestling. So I love their whole presentation. I love their whole act. Blake and Murphy, and this is not really their fault because they were rushed to the titles so quickly. And really, the tag team division is one place where NXT could improve because it always feels like they're thin in that department. And where the fuck are the vaudevillains? I mean, they were so good. I was like, come on, I want my vaudevillains. They again, comedy and wrestling can work, and the vaudevillains were very funny, but. Blake and Murphy are just so bland and so unestablished that them being the title holders just feels wrong. And again, that's not really their fault, but I'm just not feeling them at all. And I wasn't impressed with the match they had with the Lucha Dragons at the last Takeover special. And I don't know. It's just they're just not clicking. They're probably going to retain the titles here. If it were up to me, I would give it to Enzo and Cass, but just because who else are you going to give it to? But I don't know. Blake and Murphy, they're going to win it, and it's like, hopefully the match is all right, and hopefully like the charisma of Enzo and Cass kind of carry the match and make it work. So we'll see how it goes, but. So that's that. And then we have the women's title match, Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch. These two have a lot to live up to because the bar has been set pretty high for the women's title matches at these Takeover specials, because I think they've been outstanding at almost every special. Like if it's not the best match on the show, it's the second best match on the show. That's how good they've been. And it'll be interesting to see if Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch can live up to that. Sasha, who, all right, let's see what she can do when she's not working with Charlotte, because that's, because all of her big matches at these Takeover specials have been with Charlotte, and Charlotte's been outstanding. But all right, let's see what she can do without Charlotte. And Becky, she's again kind of needs to find her footing. Again, she's not terrible. She just needs to find a steady ground and build a foundation to grow and develop. And I think Sasha Banks is a good pick to get something out of her. The interviews they've been doing with Becky, even though Becky comes across awkwardly on the mic because of her accent, but they've at least fleshed out her character a little bit more and made her more of a human being and given her more depth than she originally had. And hopefully they're able to just go out there and have a really good match. I think they can, and I've seen flashes of greatness out of Becky in the ring, and I've seen greatness out of Sasha, who plays her character so amazingly well. It's almost like, yeah, you're in the developmental brand? Really? That's how good she is at being her character. So hopefully they're able to go out there and have a really good match. I'm not expecting anything big here in terms of a title change. I think Sasha's going to retain the title. I think she needs to retain the title because I don't think I don't think Sasha's anywhere near being ready to drop that belt. So yeah, that's that's your match right there, and I hope it's a really good one because, like I said, the standard's been set pretty high for the Divas title matches at NXT Special. So here's hoping, and best of luck to both girls. Then we have the number one contenders match, which this is where the injuries are really starting to play a role in how it's going to impact the show. It was supposed to be Hideo Itami, Finn Balor, and Tyler Breeze in a three-way match, which sounds amazing. But then Hideo Itami got hurt, and he's likely going to be out for 6 to 8 months. And it seems likely that he's not going to be performing at this event, which is really disappointing. Fortunately, short term, they have Balor and Breeze, and that match is still really good to me. So, all right, Balor and Breeze one-on-one, that sounds like a great match, and that should be completely fine. But losing Hideo Itami is really going to hurt the brand going forward, especially since Sami Zayn's probably going to get called up soon. And I'm pretty certain that Itami was supposed to win this match. I'm pretty sure that he was going to be next in line to get a title shot. And obviously, if he's hurt, that's going to throw that right out the window. But even so, I do think that Balor versus Breeze could be a really, really good match. I'm going to pick Balor to win number one contendership and get the rematch against Owens. Oops, I just spoiled my pick for the main event. But, I'll pick Balor to win over Breeze. Hopefully it's a really great match. And ultimately build him up to the next Takeover special where he faces Kevin Owens. I think that would be... because, like I said, after their first match during WrestleMania week, I think there's plenty of room to do a rematch between Balor and Owens. So I'd be completely down for that. So, losing Hideo sucks, but there's some room for plan Bs and some finagling there. Long term, I think the bigger impact of losing Itami are going to be felt long term because that's a huge loss for the NXT roster. But in the short term, I think they can do the singles match here and then get Balor into that spot to ultimately face Owens. So, I think they can get through this okay even with the injury. Then you got the main event, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn in a rematch from their previous bout in February. The build-up's been great. Like I said, the build-up has been fantastic. The closing segment on the last NXT show this week where Kevin Owens had that line where he's like, I know you're hurt. I know I'm the one that hurt you. I know you're still hurt. And at Unstoppable, I'm going to hurt you again, and this time you won't come back. That kind of gave me chills a little bit. I was like, ooh, that was pretty good. That was a good line. And whatever. I'm really liking Owens as champion. He's just this great, believable brute and everything, and the rivalry's just been great. There's been a lot of talk, obviously, of Sami Zayn's injury and whether or not he's going to be working at the Takeover special. I've already made this point clear, and I still kind of feel this way. I think it's a work. I just have, the timing is just too perfect. And the fact that he got injured on Raw, his debut on Raw, the largest audience he's ever been in front of, in a match with John Cena, where he was able to finish the match, and then they did the post-match comments where he talked about being hurt, which they were able to put onto the NXT show right before the closing segment, which was taped weeks in advance, obviously. But they were able to put it right before the closing segment where he interacts with Owens, and Owens talks about how, I know you're hurt, blah, 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 and all that other stuff. I don't know. It's just the timing. It made the build-up better So naturally, my brain thinks it's like it was a work. It has to be a work. But whether it's a work or not, I'm operating under the assumption that Sami Zayn's going to work at Takeover, and you're going to get that match. And I expect another really good match out of these two. Like I said, the build-up's been great, and I think they're going to use Sami's injury, whether it's a real or not, they're going to use it to enhance the match and make it as entertaining as possible. And I am going to pick Kevin Owens to win. I don't think it's time to take the belt off of him yet. Even if Sami loses here, he's probably going to get moved up to the main roster soon. But even if they don't do that, there's definitely room to do another match, possibly at the end of the year, and just do a year-long build-up between the two. But yeah, I do expect another great match out of these two, and Sami Zayn's injury, quite honestly, has made things more interesting, which is why I'm thinking it's a work. Because, maybe that's just me being a wrestling fan for too long, but if I see it on TV, I just assume it's a work. So, there's that. But, yeah, it should be a really strong main event, a really killer ending to the show, so like it was at the last show. So, yeah, looking forward to NXT Unstoppable. It looks like it could be a really interesting show, and hopefully NXT continues their streak of really strong TakeOver specials. So, yeah, going to be checking that out Wednesday night. Should be great. And with that, I wanted to close out this video by talking about some of the other shows that I watched last week. I was going to do this in an earlier video, but like I said, I had to put that off. So now you're getting it as part of this giant monstrosity that I'm concocting tonight. So, yeah, I did want to put over the last episode of Lucha Underground. Shocker. Another killer episode. Another great episode. They just hit it out of the park every week, it seems. Jack Evans made his debut and had an insane match with Aerostar. The finish of that match in particular was insane. I'm not going to spoil it. Just go watch it. There was a 7-way match where now the guys in Lucha Underground are fighting over the Aztec medallions, which grant immortality or something. Again, it's this wacky storyline that should be awful, but because of this unique cinematic universe that Lucha Underground is made for themselves, that type of stuff actually feels normal. So it actually said, yeah, totally makes sense. They can do that. Sure. Yeah, Dungeon of Doom, that was fucking stupid. But this stuff, immortality medallions, sure, yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, it legitimately works the way they do it. So, yeah, so that match was a lot of fun too. You got a big heel turn in the main event where Johnny Mundo cost Alberto El Patron a shot at the title by throwing him through the window of Dario's office, which Dario's reaction to that was great. It was like, yeah, I expected this to happen because I manipulated everybody to do everything that they do because I'm awesome like that. But in any case, yeah, another great episode from Lucha Underground. I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, it's my favorite wrestling show week to week, so wanted to put that over again. But I also watched Ring of Honor and New Japan's iPay-per-view Global Wars, which was part of the interpromotional string of shows that they did. I only caught the iPay-per-view. I haven't watched anything else. I don't even know if the rest of the shows are even available at this point. But I did watch the iPay-per-view. I wanted to come on here and talk about it. It was a good show overall. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was different. It was nice to see Nakamura and Tanahashi and Okada and all of those guys in a different setting and on a U.S. show. Especially since I've been following New Japan so much this year. I marked out even more for them. And that was really cool. Some of the pairings were a little anticlimactic, mainly because I knew who was going to go over based on who was paired up. Like, okay, they did Lethal versus Naito for the TV title. I know that Lethal's not dropping the belt, so obviously I knew Lethal was going to win. Nakamura went up against ACH. I mean, Nakamura, that would be like him losing to ACH would have been like, obviously WWE's on a bigger scale, but try to imagine like Undertaker losing to Lance Storm during the WCW invasion. Nobody would have, like, you see that match, like, yeah, I know Nakamura's going to win. Okada versus Cedric Alexander is like, I know Okada's going to win. And there was a lot of that going on. There were, the Kingdom are going up against this random pairing of Liger and Seidel. It's like, all right, I know the Kingdom's going to win. So there wasn't a lot of intrigue in terms of who was going to go over and who wasn't, except for maybe the main event. And even the main event, I kind of figured it's like, well, because Ring of Honor lost so many matches on the show, they're probably going to win in the main event, and they did. So some predictable outcomes in that, but it's just a show, and it's just something that was, I was looking for something to watch and more wrestling content. It was a fun show, and I did enjoy it, and there were some really good matches on there. So yeah, going over it all, we opened up with Moose and Gato taking on God, who's the other partner? It was Silas Young, and I forget who his partner was. Watanabe, that's right. Okay, there we go. Phew, brain fart. But all right, Watanabe and Silas Young versus Moose and Gato. Solid tag matches. Obviously, that they at least have a character path for Moose. I don't know. He might still be a little green, but there's some potential there to do something with him. I don't know what. I've heard he's going to be in the number one contenders match at the next show, which might be a little too soon for that, but. He's getting over with the fans at least, and they've got something there. But again, it's like Roman Reigns. You want to be careful. You don't want to push him too fast, because then you could have those same fans that like him now. They could just as easily turn on him once he gets exposed. So But overall, I enjoyed this match. It was a fine opener. Then we got the triple threat match. It was Matt Sydal, Chris Sabin, and Kushida in Matt Sydal. I'm sorry, no. It was Kushida, Chris Sabin, and Kyle O'Reilly. And I didn't know that Chris Sabin and Daniels and Kazarian had been revealed as the Knights of the Rising Dawn or whatever that was. I wasn't aware of that until this show. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. Originally, it was supposed to be Sabin versus Kushida, which my joke was, it's the battle to see who's Alex Shelley's better partner. Okay, cool. But they made it a triple threat with Kyle O'Reilly thrown in the mix, which was fine. And apparently that's the feud that's going on right now, Red Dragon versus the Knights of the Rising Dawn, Sabin and the Addiction. So, this triple threat match was a very cool athletic three-way, and just crazy balls to the walls action. They had their little, for lack of a better word, X Division-y match, and it was fun. I enjoyed it, and Kushida got the win, which was, again, I was fine with that. So. All right, all around, enjoyable match. Then we got the Kingdom versus Jushin Liger and Matt Sydal. Matt Sydal was in this match. We got that match. The most memorable part of this match was watching Jushin Thunder Liger motorboat Maria. Other than that, it was pretty basic tag stuff. You wouldn't, nothing to write home about, but like I said, I got to watch Jushin Thunder Liger motorboat Maria. How many times can I say that? So, okay. This is the Kingdom one, which was no surprise, but... that was that. And then I believe next was Kazuchika Okada versus Cedric Alexander. This was probably my favorite match on the show. Okada, he's just really, really good, and it seems like every match I see him in, he just does really, really well. And I've gotten to where I've really latched onto him as one of my favorite workers in the business. But this was just a really, really good back and forth match between the two. You had some moments during the thing where the lights went out unexpectedly, and moments like that can either make or break a match, where depending on how the wrestlers react to it and how they make it work. And to their credit, Okada and Alexander did not let it deter them, and they did just fine. And actually, the look on Okada's face when the lights came back on, he had this cheeky grin on his face, like, yeah, we're still fighting or something. I don't know, that just felt very human and just kind of added to the match, I thought. And I love little things like that. So I really enjoyed this match. Okada won to the surprise of nobody, but to their credit, Cedric Alexander refused to shake his hand after the match. So there's actually character development there, because they mentioned that he's been on a bit of a losing streak and he just can't seem to get that big win. So the losses are actually impacting him, and it's developing his character. Shocker. Character development. Wins and losses affect people's personalities and stuff. Because, there's actually something on the line and they actually care whether or not they win or lose. It's like, it's crazy talk. But anyway, this was my favorite match on the show, and I really liked it. So good stuff there. Then we got a three-way tag. It was the Addiction, Roppongi Vice, and the Decade. Basic three-way tag. I mean, I say the same thing I say about every three-way tag, where they all just look the same after a while. The Addiction won, which they should have. So, yeah, it was fine. It was perfectly acceptable as a match, and you get all the action that you would expect out of a match like that, and it was fine. It's just that it looks the same as every other three-way tag I've ever seen, but whatever. Then we got the intermission, where there were some weird production mistakes, where they were supposed to be showing Steen and Nakamura from last year, but they fucked it up somehow, and it was really strange. It was really weird how they fucked that up. Where at first we didn't get it, we got just the blank screen. No, at first we got Steen and Nakamura shown on the video wall from the crowd's point of view. I'm like, all right, clearly something got fucked up here. And then we moved to the blank intermission screen, and then we got to the real match shown as part of the pay-per-view feed. So I don't know what happened there with the production. It seems like Ring of Honor is always having production issues with their pay-per-views. But if it's going to happen, at least have it happen during the intermission where we're not supposed to be watching anyway. So whatever. I just felt like I needed to comment on that. But anyway, we came back from the break, and we got Nakamura versus ACH, which was a very nice athletic match. Very cool. Again, we all knew, anybody who's followed New Japan, you knew Nakamura was going to win. There's no way he was going to lose to ACH. But there was some like nice tit-for-tat stuff going on where ACH was like mimicking Nakamura at some points and stuff. So and you got some really good action out of it too. So that match was enjoyable. Trying to think what came after this. There was I think it was after this it was Lethal and Naito for the TV title, which again, good match, solid stuff, nice back and forth action. Lethal got the win to the surprise of nobody. The win kind of came out of nowhere, but other than that, it was a fine match. Then you got Tanahashi versus Elgin. This match was not as good as I expected it to be. I don't know why. That was the one pairing on the show I thought they'd like have like a. It seemed like to have some kind of intrigue to it because Tanahashi's a big star and Elgin, former Ring of Honor World Champion, so he's got some recognition there within the Ring of Honor brand. So I thought it's like, all right, this could be like the one like really big match on the show, aside from the main event. But and it was like, no, it was just kind of, I don't know, it wasn't a bad match, it just didn't really click, and it was just kind of an ordinary match, if that makes any sense. But it was still solid though. It wasn't bad. It was just not as good as I was expecting it to be. But in any case, Tanahashi got the win, which was fine. And then we go into the main event, the Bullet Club, AJ Styles, the Young Bucks, and Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson versus the Ring of Honor All-Stars made up of the Briscoe Brothers, the tag team of War Machine, and Roderick Strong, Mr. Ring of Honor, which that is still, it makes me sad that he's Mr. Ring of Honor, but I've never been a big fan of Roderick Strong. But in any case, if you like, and again, this plays into my whole thing where tag team psychology is dead. There was absolutely no tag team psychology here. It was just balls. It was like a mini battle royal, basically, where bodies were just flying all over the place and, tagging in and out. I was like, whenever somebody actually went for a tag, I'm like, why are you even bothering at this point? But yeah, bodies were flying all over the place, and there was a lot of action and stuff. And some of the things they came up with were really creative, like the 5-way super kick and stuff. Although everybody kicks out of everything, so it didn't really matter. But a lot of crazy action. There was Roderick Strong, to his credit, he did the superplex spot where he superplexed a guy. One of the Bucks, he superplexed him out of the ring onto the group of guys waiting below. Again, that's a spot I'm kind of getting tired of, where it's like the dog pile spot, I guess is what you call it, where a large group of people gather up outside the ring. You know that they're just there to catch somebody and do the dog pile spot. But at least Roddy superplexing the guy onto it, that was a better way of doing it than the usual kind of forced setup. But anyway, this was just balls to the walls action from bell to bell, and it was just crazy, wild fun. And if you like that type of stuff, and it was fun to watch. So, and if you really, really like that stuff more than I do, you'll get a kick out of this. And I've seen a lot of reviews give it like 4.5 stars or whatever. So it's like, yeah. I mean, there are people that really, really like this type of match. So I can see a lot of people enjoying this. So it was really, again, just a really crazy, wild main event that was fun. So then we got the ending where the IWGP champion AJ Styles is shaking hands with the Ring of Honor World Champion Jay Briscoe, and then Jay Lethal, the television champion, runs down and attacks both. Makes it known that he feels he's the best champion in the company, and that was actually a nice little cliffhanger to go out on. It's like, okay, you've got Jay Lethal, who's been TV champion for over a year. Dominant champion. He feels like he's the best champion in the company, so now he's going to go after the Ring of Honor World Champion. So are they going to unify the belts? Are they going to do title for title? Is AJ going to be thrown into the mix? Are they going to do a 3-way? So yeah, they've set up some interesting things with that ending. I was like, okay, I'm interested. That's cool. So nice capstone to what was an overall pretty entertaining, pretty solid show. So, yeah, Ring of Honor and New Japan, you did a good job. Thought the show was fun. I was glad I watched it. So, kudos, you did well. But yeah, that's, got through all that stuff. We're done with the video. Got through Payback, got through Unstoppable, got through all my random bullshit, got through Ring of Honor and New Japan and Lucha Underground, all that stuff. So I'm finally almost done talking here. So yeah, thank you all for watching this super long video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Again, check out thebrainosaur.com. The link is down below in the description box. That's the site that Eric, Clancy, and myself run, where we post editorials and news items related to wrestling and other things as well. So yeah, check that out. Like us on Facebook as well. The link is also down below in the description box. But until then, that is all I have for now. The next video you will see from me will be the review of NXT's next TakeOver special, Unstoppable. So until then, I will see you all later.